Hello, traders. Nick Shaheen here, looking at Zoom, and this is a an incredible rally. Let's put the notice out there. I don't like the fundamentals just from the valuations perspective, and I'm not looking for cheap, like as in price to earnings. I'm looking for forward price expansion. So the price to sales is way too high for my liking. There's nothing else like it. It's what $110, 110 the price to sales, so about 110 years worth of full year sales are baked into current price. I know it grew 350% or whatever. It's just my taste. Doesn't mean you need to short it. I did try to short it way back here somewhere, and it didn't work. Moved on. All right. So the question today is from the chat room: is there support at 465? So first of all, I don't know what your time frame is, but I think for that person, John, it was short term. So we'll have to address it on a short term basis. But first, let's look at the overall picture. These are the lines I put on it. So down here there was a roof, they broke out of it. So then they had another consolidation period here. See, similar consolidation down here. They broke out of it. Overshot my estimate of upside potential, and now I say it's too much froth just from the price action perspective. Usually machines like to go back and forth over levels in order to make them count, so to speak. The higher it goes without real consolidation, like this is good and healthy, this is good and healthy, then you can burst higher and then come back, kind of test it, build another level above it, go back. So here there's no consolidation, there's just up, up, up and away. One could argue that this kind of, they went through too far, they came back and they repriced it, so it somewhat legitimizes it, which brought me to draw this line, which is not a hard line in the sand, but it's saying, okay, we may have another plateau, right? So we'll see. Like I drew this line here. So let's drill down to see to answer the question on the support at 465. First of all, at these altitudes, there's no real support if you're looking for like a buy the dip with conviction support. This is a trading comment. These are trading comments here. The buyers are definitely in charge. So by definition, the dips are buyable. At what levels? So I can see that this little dip here today, is it a dip? Yeah, 5%, closes this little gap and is testing the fortitude of these buyers. So what is this, 457, 458 zone? It should hold. That'd be the assumption that it should hold. If not, if it fails, then it becomes a trigger lower. Where I would look at the next zones, which is probably eyeball 422, 423 to, I'm going to estimate, to that green line, so 435. I know it's a big zone, but this thing runs in chunks, so it's not out of the question. Now, before you start cussing at me and saying, I can't believe you're saying it's going to 4, I'm not saying it is. In fact, I started the statement by saying the assumption is that this will hold, and if it doesn't hold, this comes into the picture. In fact, this comes into the picture too if Wall Street has a tizzy. Not because of virus, but say because of, I don't know, the debates tonight. If we wake up tomorrow to some sort of disaster in the market, then this is not going to rally all by itself. This does rally on disaster headlines from COVID stuff, because the perception is that this does better the longer COVID fears, or the fear of people, fear of crowds persists. So from that perspective, you got to pick your fights there and know what you're buying. All right, so the bulls are definitely in charge. Therefore, again, by definition, the dips are going to be bought. At what level? And that's the tricky part. The first assumption is right here, right? But 460-ish should be buyable dip. If this is lost, then it becomes a trigger. The next level I just noted is big wash zone. If I were to pick a line, I'd say whatever that line is, 421. And then if I were to say an oh shit moment, it'll be like 390. I would even go along for a trade. So these are the levels. Now this reaction to earnings, first of all, they blew away the earnings, all expectations above and beyond. And this candle right here matters. That's probably why I put the green line there. Is this a daily? No, it's a 2-hour candle. So they They loved it, they hated it, and they said, you know what, we don't freaking know, let's just close it where it was. So that's the definition of a doji there. And they took their time coming back to it, and when they came back to it, they beat it fiercely. And now they're hanging above the top of it, ish. So maybe they made up their mind. So the first place to where I could buy the dip is somewhere around 440, because something happened here, and maybe that's the statement. So this little zone could be a place to catch, and maybe this whole zone would then qualify as a consolidation area. Like they fought over it back and forth and back and forth in fast movements, but maybe we'll draw enough volume to move this volume profile up accordingly. So right now, since the trade happened so quickly, they haven't consolidated long enough. You can see they're trying to build something here. See that? Volume wise, but the chunk is still down here. So they jumped on earnings, but they haven't traded enough long enough in order to build some volume support up here. Right now there's little volume support, and if it dies, they're going to come back down to where they have been trading. Again, this is not a level discussion. This is more a price action discussion versus the level discussion that we talked about here. Again, if you love the stock, don't be upset if somebody says there could be a downside scenario. I didn't forecast a downside scenario. In fact, the upside there are upside scenarios too. So let's discuss those. All right, so it failed. The accident scene is right there. So if they come back, if they bounce here, like we just said, if they come back and hit here, this is a pointy level. So now on the way up, it becomes a problem for this period of time. We zoomed in, so the volume profile changes, and now it tells me that this is the point where they loved it the most by a long shot. The second most is above it, right there. So these 2 points are a problem for the bulls on the way up, which are also the opportunity. So if you think that this is like an expanding pattern of sorts, then you should probably buy it for the swing up as a trade and then get out here, here, or here, because each one of these is going to be a problem on the way up. It all depends on the goal. Are you trading? Are you investing? If I'm looking to invest long term, this is not an obvious point of entry, but it will need the whole market help in order to get there. So it all depends on the thesis and the question. The question was, is there support at 465? I don't see 465 as a play, except from the zone of whatever that tick is, which is just under 460. So it's a zone. Close the gap at 467. Now a little bit below it. I don't see a surgical spot for 465, but if the assumption is that this will hold, then the buy for the swing with the tight stop. So the tight stop would be where? If I'm wrong and it sets a new low, then I should be out of this current trade that we just discussed here. All right, Nick signing out.